every time that I was feeling competition in my life, I was just really, really uncomfortable, and a part of me couldn't understand competition, whether I was at school or in gymnastics or ice skating or whatever groups I was in. I had always this thing inside of me that wanted to quit every time there was some kind of competition or friction around being better than somebody else. Something in me was, it was not making sense. I was like, why is there competition? Why do I need to go and get a medal? Like, all of this was a concept that I couldn't grasp. So most of the time I was actually quitting. And I'm sharing this. I'm not even sharing this in the book. Maybe I should have, but it's part of my story. And I remember very well those feelings as a young kid when I was quitting, and I was telling my parents, no, I'm not going into that route. And the reason also, it's because when I was starting to enter competition, a part of me was losing the joy and the love of doing what I was doing. It was suddenly becoming a goal, and my body was starting to contract, and I could already feel that something was off. And I was like, I don't want to do it because I'm obligated to do it. I don't want to do it because I'm gaining something out of it. I'm doing it because I love it. I'm good at it because I love it. I'm totally in it. Therefore, I'm winning. Right? For me, it already in my cells, this is how it was vibrating. But still, the paradigm that was presented to me was like, well, no, if you're good, you have to compete. If you're good, you need the diploma. If you're good, you need the medal. If you're good, you're good,
Yeah.
So it started like this. So when I was presented that book opportunity, all of those memories came back, and I was like, wow, I want to speak into the love of being in our power and in our gifts. And that's how we win. That's how we break all paradigms of competition, of jealousy, of comparison to others, to our sisters. And, propelling a container called the authentic woman you are, I feel that it's super important, especially as women, who have been conditioned to compete with our sisters, and we don't need to do this, because as we dive into our deeper selves and in our womb and in our sacred power, there's no room to compare ourselves, because the comparison doesn't exist when we are anchored in our value. And this is what I share. This is what I share in the book, in the chapter about self-value, about how to connect to home within, how to honor this value from within, how to shift the paradigms and really enter the creation from our womb, and to create also a life based not on competition, but on power, on self, on the power that we have inside.
Yeah.
And
I know we've talked about that a couple times, and I really like that notion of, developing intimacy with yourself first, and also in the spirit of collaboration. I think also that we have to learn to collaborate with the different parts that inhabits us,
Yeah. So right, and you poured on, Karine, because that's what I speak about in the chapter, also about how important it is to feel all the parts of ourselves, to hear them, their desires, their needs, their boundaries, their, what are they asking, and to allow them to speak to each other. And so if there's no collaboration inside of ourselves, and we're like, oh, this part, yes, but this part, no, there's no collaboration, there's no authentic relationship inside. So collaboration on the outside world cannot work. So it really starts within. And this is something that, I share a lot in my groups, that we have to address our inner reality, because everything that we manifest in our life is really a reflection of what we cultivate inside. And it's not woo. I'm telling you, just try it out. Really feel it. When there's something outside, an event outside that you don't like, a collaboration that is not working, check inside. You have the same dynamic inside. The exact same dynamic is found inside of you.
Yes.
And I could speak a little bit more about the body and, the chains of tensions and stuff like this, but this is a bit more, theory. But when you have direct experience, you feel that. And when you address it and you harmonize those parts, and the two parts are actually like, I'm listening to you. Okay, I'm listening to you. Then there's more harmony, and there's more collaboration, and then you see it unfold also in your life at the level we are at, because we're learning. Collaboration is not the way we learned. We are still in a paradigm that is breaking from patriarchy and of separation and of being of competing with one another. This is encrypted in ourselves. So the work is to harmonize inside and to tune into that new paradigm, into that.
Yeah, really come. I think, like for me on this path also, it's this discovery of coming to terms. You mentioned that earlier also, but who you are, and when there's joy in what you do, then you don't have to win a medal. You just do what you do because it comes from a place of joy and inner collaboration. And I think also that shows to other, that space that you create, then you can have a real collaboration, because when you're doing you, people don't feel the need to compete with you. Maybe do you agree with that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, because if you're really doing you, right, if you're really doing you from a place of love, you're not showing anything to anybody, you're not appearing to prove anything to anybody. It comes from your service, it comes from your power, it comes from your value. And the genuine value will not it will not seek for approval, it will not seek to convince anybody. So when we start appearing in our gifts and in our power from that space, there's no competition. There's not that fight inside of like, I'm gonna prove, or I'm gonna be better. There's not the dialogue anymore, because it has relaxed. The womb is relaxed, we are relaxed in ourselves, and there's not a fight, there's harmony. And then in harmony, what we are not used to is to act based on harmony and peace inside. We are used to act from conflict and from fight, or from flee, right? We're just used to it because we're so much in survival mode. But when this relaxes in the body, then new energies come in: harmony, peace, love, joy, And at the beginning, it's a little bit confusing and a little bit, we're like, okay, but I don't have anything to do. But no, there's this shift in energy. Then the energy pushes you and it guides you. And it guides you into service. This word service, sometimes it's a bit, misunderstood. We can interpret it as a religious way, but it's more your purpose. Who you are is going to be propelled, and you're going to be, hey, I'm here. And I have this to offer. You want or you don't want, but it's not out of a fear or go-getting or whatever. And sometimes the voice inside is going to guide us to speak louder, but that doesn't come from go-getting. It comes from the life force pushing and saying, people need you, right? And it's without pretension that I do this. But when the life force wakes up, it just pushes us. It creates so much pressure inside. All the parts inside of yourself collaborate to be of service, to be of purpose, because some people somewhere are calling you and you are useful to some people. Right? Makes sense the way I'm sharing it, right?
Yeah, totally. And even sometimes when life calls you, you're just like, really? Is something, at times it can be puzzling, even when you're on the path, you've been on the path for so long. Sometimes the callings are kind of mysterious also, because you didn't expect that. And that's also part of the collaboration with the flow of life. It's also like, for me, I also see that as collaborating.
Yeah, there's a section in the book called Collaboration with Spirit, and part of the section Collaboration with Self, because I speak so much about, working within and stuff, but there is a part called Collaboration with Spirit. And it's all about being attuned and listening to the whispers of spirit and the guidance coming from the divine. And because we're always guided, there's an inspiration, our intuition speaks, go there. And then the second it comes in, doubt appears most of the time. We start, is this true? What is this? And then we lose it. But the practice and what we do here as work also is to create enough space in the body to receive that intuitive impulse and to allow the body to be driven by it.
Mm.
That's why we clear. I insist so much on detox and clearing, because we want to have that space to hear it and then have the life force enough to take that physical action, or else it just stays in the air and it stays as a dream. But we want to bridge both, right? So that's collaboration with spirit, and we speak about this in the book too. Yes.
Yeah. And something that came up when you were talking is, like, for me, there's a nuance between working together and collaboration. You know, I don't know if you feel the same, but somehow in my path, I've tried collaborating, but most of the time what I find myself doing is working with others, but not really collaborating. Do you understand what I mean? Can you pick up on that, or I'm not clear?
No, I'm reading behind, and what I'm hearing is not being 100% authentic on needs and direction and all of this. That's when it creates this conflict, I believe. Collaboration and working together could all mean the same thing, but I hear the split, and the split is it's a split that happens very often. It's as beautiful the idea of collaboration is, as difficult it is also in reality, because it requires for everybody to do their inner work, to be clear, to be honest, right? And to go, that's the ideal, to go beyond the mind. So really to surrender to the divine guidance of why are we working together? What is the calling of the unit? And this is where a lot of teams crash, right? This is where it's difficult, because we have a human ego. We have our desires, and we are also designed in a specific way, right? So sometimes it just doesn't fit, because really the guidance is to separate. But sometimes it's really a good match, and the higher vision is there. But it requires for our self with a small s to surrender and to die, to receive that next layer of self that's coming in order to collaborate deeper. But it's not easy. It's not easy.
No.
To collaborate with others. So there's one thing collaborating with oneself, collaborating with life, and following one's path. But then when you bring many souls together and many bodies together, like we tried doing, or like we have been doing for almost a year right now, we all saw the challenges that this was, right? So it's to honor. We are all here to learn, and we realize that yes, we all have a life setup, and there's a vision. But who's bowing to the vision? And that's how it works. We bow to the vision, then the door opens. If the vision is not bowed, then we continue, but we continue on a different path, in a different way. And it's all cool. It's all okay.
Yeah. And I think that you've lived it, and I've lived it. At one point, you just have to also accept that maybe this collaboration or that collaboration is not going to work for now, and maybe in 2 years it's going to be fine. But like, how do you know, like, for yourself, like, what's the point where you say, okay, now I have to let that go? We always come back to that question, but because we want, like, the heart wants to collaborate with a person or a vision or a project, but at one point, yes,
it's a very deep question. And I don't know how to answer this question in a simple way, because at the end of the day, my work is really in the subtle planes. My real work is reading it. It's, how can I put this? It's feeling what's in the invisible, and that's how I operate. And that's why I trust so much too, because I can feel. And if a body that, yes, I see the potential, I see the collaboration, but the body is not ready, then I give space to the body to decrystallize and become that new version. Then the door opens, and then we can collaborate again, because we cannot force anything, but we can infuse. We can plant seeds. We can infuse with vision. We can share as visionaries. We can share what we see in the energy field. We can share what we see that is coming in the next years. And we can share that from a genuine place, not from attachment or from, like, you're obliged to come with me or whatever, but more from an inspiration perspective. And if there's really a resonance, the person is going to feel it, because something in the cells is going to vibrate. If there's really a fit in the design of the person with the vision, something is going to resonate, and naturally things are going to revolve to the divine, then orchestrates. You know what I mean? That's where the huge trust comes in. It's very difficult to put in words, because it's a constant bow. And it's like in any relationships, in any marriage, in everything, we can force it. We can have a clear intention. We can have, yes, an intention to walk together, but sometimes in a couple, it has to do like this to harmonize, you know? If we're always like this or always like this, it just doesn't work. But it's about meeting and evolving and meeting and evolving and going to get our answers and evolving. And then there's a common thread, and the choice to say yes to that thread, that's the responsibility. Are you saying yes? If you say yes, well, we bow to the work, you know? We said we
yeah.
And the intention is to commit to something that's aligned, right? Where our soul vibrates, where our spirit feels excited. Then there's joy and everybody's happy. But again, it requires this movement. Like I have been presented visions in the past that resonated so much. Like my whole body was like, wow, so exciting, and I was in love and everything. But the truth is, I was not ready. My body was not ready. So there's grief there. There's like, okay, like I need to move out of that vision. But the truth is, the vision has chosen you. So even if you take another way, your body will start transforming in relation to the higher vision, because this is what's choosing. Our little mind are not choosing. There's something bigger that it's choosing. And it's a little bit esoteric the way I speak today, but yes, that's really how it's coming out. In the tangible work, it requires responsibility. It requires ourselves to sit down and to be honest with our limitations, with our desires, with our needs, communicating properly with other people, accepting that conflict can happen, but, you know, naming things and daring to name things. And yes, let's go through the discomfort. All of this is really the tangible work of it.
And you said discomfort, and it really struck me that in my experience, a lot of the times that collaboration doesn't work is when people are not ready to face discomfort. They are not ready to address when something is misaligned and not aligned at all. And then they just either go back to their old pattern and do their things on their own, or just split up from the collaboration, because it takes a lot of, I guess, courage to be able to say, hey, this is not working, guys. You are not doing your job. You're not letting me do my job, and this collaboration is not really working.
Yeah, and you're right. This is what happens, and it requires courage and, again, honesty. And for me, collaboration is about embodying our gifts. For me, the ideal of collaboration is that everybody really wants to embody gifts, and then we're walking towards, you know, co-creating a new paradigm. That's what it is for me. At least this is what we're presenting here. And I go through my own limitations too. Sometimes it's too much. Sometimes life is a lot, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm putting on hold this thing because it's a deep thing I have to address inside my own self.
Yeah.
So I'm putting a pause, but this doesn't mean that there's quitting. It means that it takes the time to address it. And so honoring our boundaries and honoring ourselves in all of this.
Yeah. But I like also the difference between pausing and quitting. Yes. Because for me, it makes all the difference. You know, if consciously you say, okay, this for now is not working, I'm pausing it, taking my time to clear what needs to be cleared, and then we're putting it back again, our energy into it. is very different from my perspective than just saying, you know, go to whatever you want to go, and I'll just leave.
Yeah.
Which is not the same also, because then I like for the way you said it, for me, with the way I received it is pausing. You're still in the intention of collaboration. When you just quit, it it creates that split. Did I?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's the same thing in a relationship, in a couple, in any type of relationship. No, let's pause, let's breathe in, let's go deeper, let's do our work, transform, and then we meet again. Then we meet again. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really, really important. And that's, from my perspective, this is how we build something that's long lasting and sustainable.
Yeah.
This is how, yeah. I was giving an example. I don't know if I shared this in the group or the text that I wrote, you know, being in partnership with my ex-husband for 21 years now. And we have a 10-year-old son. And I met him, I was 20, you know.
Yeah.
And we went through many, many different ways of being in that relationship in those 21 years. But what it required is exactly the formula that I named. It requires a commitment. It requires saying yes. It requires not quitting. The intention is to harmonize the relationship, especially when, you know, it kind of obliges you, you know, like, no, let's do the work. We have a son, we have a contract, and we want the best for our son. So what's the work to do? And then it creates sustainability and trust and safety, and all those wounds of abandonment, of rejection, of betrayal, they start to stomping, they start like relaxing.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's about why do we quit a collaboration? It's mainly because of those deep wounds, you know.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree, and it really resonates with me. I love the fact that you said, well, we're doing it for our son, but any project is like a baby also. So if you have the project in mind, it kind of brings that intention. But I think that along the way, many people just forget why they do things. So the purpose is kind of loose, and that's also what separates people at one point, because the focus is maybe not
the focus on the life force. So anything that becomes an obligation loses its taste. And as a mother, you know, it's more obvious that we don't want to quit on our kids, right? But when it comes to a project, and especially when it's, you know, a calling, like what we're doing here, sometimes we forget, and then it becomes work. But we didn't quit our corporate jobs to just go back to work. That's not the point. The point is to be in alignment. The point is to be in our gifts. The point is to be with the juice of the life force that, you know, wants to channel this vision. But you're so right. It's sometimes we tend to forget, but no, this baby, because the authentic woman you are, it's an essence that is taking a form. So we're paying attention on how the form wants to manifest, just like a baby that comes into a woman's belly and wants to take a form, and it has a purpose to exist. Well, it's the same thing with the project.
Yeah, totally. I see time is flying again, because we could go on for hours as usual.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the book and collaboration and other stuff pretty soon. Do you have something else that you wanted to share? The book is coming out soon.
The book is coming out on September 24. And we're very, very excited. We're about 16 collaborators in the book with different chapters. And the book is going to come out at 99 cents. Okay. The day of the launch is 99 cents. It's going to be a Kindle version, but we're inviting everybody to buy it, to encourage us to go and reach this bestseller book on Amazon. So it's as support. And at the same time, you're going to have it also as PDF or something. And then the paperback is going to be available after a few weeks after or something. But anyway, all of this to say, if it resonates, the subject, obviously, buy it and encourage this topic and this new paradigm that wants to come like on the planet. It's super nice. We poured our hearts into it.
Yeah, I know all about that.
Yes, you're writing a book too.
Yeah, there's a lot of energy going into a book, and but it's also joy, you know, like we wouldn't do it if we didn't enjoy it. So
Yeah.
thanks again, Jennifer, for sharing on this topic, and we'll probably hook up again pretty soon on
Yes.
different go deep or go high or left or right. It's always we never really know where this flow we're gonna lead us, but
Mm.
yeah, it was also nice. Thanks.
Thank you, Karine, for showing up in your joy and your beauty as a woman and your curiosity. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Have a nice day.
Nice day.